I am hard at work on my full review right now, but I wanted to talk a little bit about a certain aspect of Octopath that is something we rarely see in games anymore. Alright, so I started with Cyrus. I didn't really have a reason, it was just a shot in the dark. I played through the story. The guy's a teacher, a professor. He teaches some students, goes into the library, and eventually he is on the hunt for clues regarding a missing book. Anyway, during all this you walk into a cave and you get into your first battle, and it turns out he just so happens to be a very proficient fighter. And that's exactly what I want to talk about. Octopath Traveler, just like games of old, simply assumes you don't need explanations for things that are obviously just game mechanics. There's no reason to double think that this person can partake in battles because battling is obviously part of what ties this together as a game. So often now is realism pushed into games, and not just in graphic style but mechanically and narratively as well. If a character is going to be fighting, they need to have a certain backstory or explanation as to why they are fighting. They'll either be written to have combat abilities natively, or some trope will be used where it was out of necessity, or they are being taught, or another character just throws them a weapon for self-defense. I can't think of many games in recent times that introduce mechanics as blasé as Octopath does, and it's incredibly refreshing. I don't think we as gamers ever used to have a problem with the idea that some things are obviously just done as part of the game that don't need explanations, or that aren't plot holes. This modern way of over-explaining and having a reason for absolutely everything is one of the reasons I'm worried about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Sephiroth puts a sword through Aerith and we accept that as part of the story. Sure, we have a little joke, why don't you just use a phoenix down on her, ha ha. But we could be looking at the very real possibility of a reason why you can't use a phoenix down on her explained to us, as if we can't just accept that this is a game and mechanics don't need to 100% line up with the narrative that's being told. I'll stop short of saying the Octopath way is always the better way, because it can be a double-edged sword. I believe that this game design approach is also the source of some dismay within the community. When we add another character to our party, we just assume nowadays that they'll become a part of the story at all times. Their presence will constantly be explained, otherwise why would they be there? Well, in Octopath, and in a lot of games back in the day, the reason they are there is for gameplay. It would be exceptionally difficult to balance a JRPG like this if you lost all your party members every time you entered a new chapter of somebody's story. The game tells the story it wants to tell, and assumes you'll understand the presence of certain characters is just part of the game. That isn't to say there aren't character interactions, there are plenty of them, but they are usually told in little self-contained events as a way to compare and contrast the personalities of each individual character. I've talked about this on and off for years now, mostly in response to something about photorealistic graphics. I am always aware that I'm playing a game. I know this isn't real. I'm holding a controller, for Christ's sake. I am more than happy to accept that something is done specifically for the health of the game, even if it doesn't make sense when you nitpick it. I am more than happy to play something with anime or old school sprite-based graphics, because no matter how good realistic graphics are now, they still don't look like real life. And I'm not playing inside some Sword Art Online virtual reality pod thing, so it isn't like I'm just going to forget that what I'm playing is a game. Some developers want to make realistic games, and that's fine, but man do I wish that realism wasn't something so many developers shoehorn into their games nowadays. But what do you think? Are you enjoying that distinctly old school approach in Octopath Traveler? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for liking, subscribing and sharing, and I'll see you all soon.